Most people walk into a new year like someone rushing into a gym they've never trained for. They buy the shoes, pay for the membership, take the photos, but their muscles, their habits, their mind are still living in last year. They write goals, buy planners, make promises, and for a few days it feels different. Then the first bad night of sleep comes. The first stressful week at work hits. The first wave of doubt shows up and the old life quietly pulls them back. Within a month, the motivation is gone and the guilt takes its place. The Stoics wouldn't be surprised. They would simply say, you tried to control the wrong thing. You can't control the whole year, the economy, other people, or every twist of fate. But you can control a single day. And that is where your life actually happens. The future is not a magical door that opens on January 1st. It is the accumulation of ordinary days you chose to live with discipline when no one was watching. So this isn't another video about resolutions, hacks, or dramatic overnight change. Think of it as a 12-week Stoic blueprint to quietly reinvent yourself from the inside out. 12 weeks divided into 3 movements, like a symphony written for your life. First, you build your foundation. Then you expand your capacity. Finally, you integrate everything into something that lasts. Instead of chasing motivation, you will build momentum. Instead of worshiping big goals, you will collect evidence small, repeatable proof that you are becoming someone new. Imagine this as a story, and you are the main character. At the beginning, you are scattered, tired, scrolling late into the night, living in reaction instead of intention. Over 12 weeks, you do not magically become perfect. You become dependable. Your days gain structure. Your emotions stop driving the car. Your courage grows quietly. Your work becomes deeper. Your time begins to feel like it belongs to you again. This is not fantasy. It is what happens when philosophy stops being a quote on a screen and becomes a way of moving through the world. In the first 4 weeks, you rebuild your base: sleep, movement, attention, and energy. Not in a complicated, intimidating way, but in a stable, repeatable one. In the next 4 weeks, you expand. You build real strength, practice deliberate courage, develop a meaningful skill, and repair your integrity with yourself and others. In the final 4 weeks, you'll integrate, you'll learn to face stress without collapsing. Master your time instead of being dragged by it. Align your days with your values and step into a new identity you can trust. You don't need to be perfect to start. You only need to accept that the version of you who is exhausted and reactive cannot be the one piloting your next season. This plan doesn't ask for dramatic declarations. It asks for one honest day, repeated. If you stay with it, by week 12, you'll feel the difference. More energy in your body, more calm in your mind, more control over your time, and something deeper self-respect. The quiet certainty that you are no longer chasing the idea of a new you. You are already living as one. Weeks 1 to 4. Energy control, attention, structure. Think of a tall building. It doesn't rise from air. It rises from a foundation most people never see. In life, that invisible base is your body, your nervous system, your basic rhythms. Most people try to think their way into a new life while living in a body that is sleep overstimulated, undermoved, and constantly on edge. No philosophy can land in a system like that. Before you can change your mind, you have to steady the vessel that carries it. The Stoics understood this better than many modern self-help books. They didn't begin with abstract theory. They began with how you live today. How you sleep, what you consume, how you move, what you pay attention to. A mind that seeks wisdom while living in a body that is neglected becomes noisy, anxious, easy to disturb. A regulated body, on the other hand, becomes a quiet ally. So These first 4 weeks are not about becoming impressive. They are about becoming stable. You are learning to be the kind of person who doesn't fall apart every time something small goes wrong. Picture yourself on a cold January morning. The alarm goes off. Your hand moves before your mind is awake. Snooze. 10 more minutes. Then 10 more. You finally roll out of bed, already behind, already negotiating with yourself. That tiny moment is not just about sleep. It's about trust. Your nervous system is learning. When this person promises something, they don't keep it. Most people think they have a motivation problem, when in reality, they have an exhaustion problem. You cannot expect deep focus, emotional stability, and courage from a system that is chronically tired. You are not lazy, you are depleted. The first week is about one thing: restoring the basic energy your life runs on and showing your body that your word finally means something. Choose a wake-up time that fits your reality and treat it as a sacred promise, not a suggestion, not a when I feel like it. The same time, 7 days in a row. This is not about being extreme, it's about being consistent. Your brain is a prediction machine. When your wake-up time becomes predictable, your hormones, temperature, and mood begin to align around it. Instead of waking in fog, your body starts to be ready for you. Psychology calls this building a stable cue. The Stoics would simply call it discipline. Each morning, before the world has a chance to grab your attention, step outside. Even if it's cloudy, even if you're on a balcony or doorstep, let natural light touch your eyes for a few minutes. You're not doing a ritual for Instagram. You are sending a hard signal to your internal clock. The day has begun. Pair that with a few slow breaths. No phone in your hand, no rushing. For once, start the day as a human being, not as a notification center. Then, before caffeine, give your body what it actually needs. Water. Hydration seems simple, which is why most people ignore it. But your brain is mostly water and electricity. Dehydrated, and your thoughts feel heavier. Your mood sinks. Your willpower feels thin. Rehydrated and tasks feel slightly more possible. Psychology calls this state-based performance. You don't fix your life by force of will alone. You first change the state your brain is operating in. Now, move. Not to punish yourself, not to chase a specific body image, but to remind your nervous system that you are an organism designed to move through space, not just sit and scroll. Start small, 30 minutes of walking per day. Break it into 2 shorter walks, if you must. On 2 days, add a very simple strength, routine pushing, pulling, squatting, with whatever you can safely manage. The goal is not soreness. The goal is rhythm. When your blood moves, your thoughts do too. The Stoics saw the body as the servant of reason. Modern neuroscience agrees. A stagnant body traps emotions. A moving body lets them flow. Close each day with a boundary your future self will thank you for. At 9 p.m., the day begins to end. Screens off, endless scrolling ends. You are signaling to your brain, we are not under attack. We can power down. At 9 a.m., the next day, you are awake and moving. Off by 9, on by 9. One simple rule, repeated, will transform more than 100 complex hacks you never stick to. This is how you start teaching your body to trust you again. Not with speeches, but with a new pattern. Now that your body has begun to stabilize, it's time to stabilize your mind. Think of the last time you felt overwhelmed. Chances are, if you look closely, your thoughts were spinning around things you could not directly control. Other people's opinions, unpredictable results, the past, the future. The Stoics call this confusion the root of unnecessary suffering. Their antidote was simple and brutal. Divide your world into 2 categories: what is up to you and what is not. Modern psychology has a similar concept called locus of control. People who spend most of their energy trying to control the uncontrollable end up anxious, angry, and burnt out. People who dedicate their effort to what is truly within their power become calmer, more effective, and strangely resilient. This week is about training that shift, not as a nice idea, but as a daily mental exercise. Morning. Take a single page and draw a line down the middle. On the left, write 3 things you can genuinely see each on throughout the day. Your effort on a project, your tone in a conversation, your decision to move your body, your willingness to tell the truth. On the right, write 3 things you cannot. Whether someone understands you, how quickly results come, what random strangers post online. Be uncomfortably honest. The page is a mirror. Beneath that list, choose one action from the can control side and write it as a concrete move. Work 30 minutes in deep focus on this task, or speak calmly even if they're stressed. Then choose one act of acceptance for the cannot control side. If my message is misunderstood, I will clarify once, then let it go. Or if results are slow, I will judge myself by effort, not outcome. Today. This is not weakness, it is strategic. You are no longer fighting battles you cannot win. Throughout the day, imagine yourself as a captain steering a ship through shifting weather. The waves and wind are outside your control. Your hands on the wheel are not. When something triggers you, a rude comment, a delay or rejection, pause and silently ask, is this mine to control? If yes, act. If no, release. This tiny question cuts through noise like a blade. At night, spend 5 quiet minutes in reflection. Not scrolling, not numbing, just remembering. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I handle well? Where did I get hooked by things I can't control? What small adjustment can I make tomorrow? This is metacognition thinking about your own thinking. It's how you slowly rewire your patterns. The Stoics journaled in this way, not to be poetic, but to become free from their own automatic reactions. Over time, you'll notice a change. Your nervous system will stop spiking every time something outside your control moves. You'll find yourself less obsessed with other people's approval, less desperate for immediate results. It's not that life becomes easier. It's that your energy is no longer being poured into black holes. You are learning, as Epictetus taught, that peace is not nothing bad happens. Peace is nothing outside of me has the power to command my mind. If week 1 was about your physical energy and week 2 about your mental focus, week 3 is about your most sacred modern resource, attention. We live in an economy where your focus is the product. Every app, every notification, every short video is designed to pull your eyes for just a few more seconds. Those seconds turn into hours, and those hours quietly shape your entire life story. Luxurious, uninterrupted attention has become rare, which is why deep work and real presence feel so good when we taste them. The Stoics warned about wasting life long before smartphones existed. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Today, that waste often appears in the form of compulsive digital stimulation. This week, you begin to reclaim your mind from that loop. For the next 7 days, imagine you are resetting your internal reward system, a dopamine diet. Not about food, but about stimulus. You are gently lowering the volume on cheap, high-spike rewards so your brain can once again feel satisfied with richer, slower experiences. Set 3 non-negotiable rules. No social media before noon. No screens after 9 p.m. You've met this boundary before, now you reinforce it. No mindless scrolling between tasks. To make this real, change your environment. Turn your phone to grayscale so it's less like a toy. Move it to another room during your deep work and during meals. Set a small daily time limit for entertainment apps and honor it as if it were a promise to someone you love. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Each time you catch yourself reaching for your phone without intention, don't judge yourself. Just ask, what am I trying not to feel right now? Often the answer is boredom, anxiety, or loneliness. Into the space you're clearing, you'll place intentional activities. Replace 10 minutes of scrolling with a short walk, not 4 steps, but to let your mind wander. Replace background noise with silence at least once a day. Read a few pages of something that stretches you. Write a paragraph about your day instead of consuming someone else's. Call a friend instead of liking their posts. You are shifting from passive consumption to active living. Expect withdrawal. Expect boredom to feel uncomfortable. That's not a sign the process is failing. It's a sign your nervous system is recalibrating. If you can sit with that discomfort without immediately numbing it, something powerful starts to happen. Ideas appear again in the quiet. Your ability to read, think, and create for longer than a few seconds returns. Tasks that once felt impossible become manageable, simply because your attention is no longer fractured. Set a very simple target. Accumulate 60 to 90 minutes of uninterrupted deep work each day. This could be study, a project, learning a skill, anything that matters to you. Start where you are. If 20 minutes undistracted is hard, begin there. Record your minutes each day somewhere visible. Watch them slowly grow. You're training your attention like a muscle. In a world where everyone's mind is pulled in 1,000 directions, the ability to focus on one meaningful thing has become a superpower. You're not just being productive. You're reclaiming ownership of your inner life. Week 4 is where things start to feel different on the outside. Until now, you've been working mostly on invisible layers. Your sleep, your energy, your control, your attention. Other people might not see it yet, but you can feel the subtle shift. In week 4, you start turning that inner order into outer structure. You design your environment so the right choices become the easy ones, and the wrong choices have to fight to reach you. Most people try to rely on willpower alone. They wake up in a messy room with a chaotic desk, a buzzing phone, endless notifications, and somehow blame themselves for not being focused enough. But psychology is clear. Environment drives behavior more than raw will. The Stoics understood this too. They didn't just preach discipline. They built routines, rituals, and surroundings that supported their values. You are about to do the same. Start by giving your day a clear skeleton. Instead of hoping that focus will magically appear, you will schedule it. Choose 2 blocks of time, each day 45 to 60 minutes, that will be your deep work anchors. They don't have to be long. They do have to be protected. During these blocks, you practice one rule, one task, one window, no interruptions, no messages, no casual browsing, no multitasking disguised as productivity. Before you begin, take one slow breath, feel your feet on the floor, open the work, and start. Inspiration is not a prerequisite, it is a side effect of beginning. After each block, write a single line about where you'll start tomorrow. Something as simple as continue from paragraph 3 or review section 2. This tiny habit removes one of the biggest obstacles to consistency: the friction of not knowing where to begin. You are designing a smooth ramp back into focus instead of facing a blank wall every time. Next, turn your attention to your physical space. Look at the surface where you work. Ask yourself honestly, does this look like the desk of someone who respects their own time? Then clear it, not obsessively, but intentionally. Remove items that pull your eyes away, the clutter that signals unfinished decisions. Keep only what serves the work. Your tools, a light, maybe one object that reminds you of why you're doing all this, a photo, a phrase, a symbol of a promise you've made to yourself. When you simplify your space, you simplify your mind. You're sending your brain a quiet message. Here, we focus. Now, give your environment rules. If your phone keeps stealing your attention, it doesn't belong within reach when you're working. Physically, move it. If your chair invites you to slump, change it or add support. If your room is too dark and heavy, let in more light. You're not doing this for aesthetics. You're shifting the default setting so that discipline becomes the path of least resistance. Behavioral psychology calls this choice architecture, shaping the world so that good decisions are effortless and bad ones are inconvenient. At the end of this week, don't rely only on feelings to judge your progress. Ask concrete questions. Am I sleeping more consistently? Am I moving most days? How many deep work blocks did I actually complete? How often did I break my own screen boundary? You are collecting data on yourself, not as a critic, but as a scientist. Real change is often too subtle to feel in the moment, but numbers don't lie. They show you that even on days when your mood dipped, your structure held. By the end of week 4, you'll have something most people never build. A base, a body that is more rested, a mind that knows what is and isn't its responsibility, a nervous system that's less intoxicated by constant stimulation, a day with edges and shape. This is the ground the rest of your life will stand on. And once you have it, you're ready for the next phase, not just to survive, but to expand. Now that your foundation is steady, your story shifts. You're no longer the character scrambling just to keep up. You've earned a new chapter. Expansion. You're gonna grow not with frantic hustle or noisy ambition, but with quiet, deliberate power. The next 4 weeks are about becoming someone who can carry more responsibility, more pressure, more opportunity without collapsing. Think of it like widening your capacity. Your nervous system is calmer now. Your days are clearer. This is the moment most people rush to do everything at once and burn out. You will do the opposite. You'll grow strategically, like a tree that thickens its trunk before reaching for new height. Strength, courage, skill, and integrity will be your 4 branches. Strength in this phase is not about aesthetics. It's about teaching your mind a new relationship with resistance. Every time you lift something heavy, every time your muscles tremble and you choose one more controlled rep, you are sending a deep signal to your nervous system. We can stay with discomfort. We don't have to run. The Stoic phrase, "the obstacle is the way," becomes literal underweight. This week, you commit to 3 strength sessions. They don't need to be complicated. In fact, they shouldn't be. Push, pull, squat, hinge, carry, push-ups or presses, rows or pull-ups, squats with your body weight or added load, deadlifts or hip hinges, farmer's walks with whatever you can carry safely. You're rebuilding a full body routine that is simple enough to repeat and challenging enough to demand your attention. The philosophy behind this is temperance, measured effort instead of extremes. Most people start with a burst of intensity and then crash when the initial excitement fades. You'll train differently. Keep your weights and difficulty at a level where you can execute every rep with control. Leave a little in the tank. Add a small amount one rep, a few kilos each week. In psychology, this is called progressive overload. In life, it's how you grow without breaking. Do not train with rage. Don't use anger as fuel. That might look powerful in movies, but it teaches your body that effort and hostility are the same thing. Instead, train with calm, focus, breathe through your nose as much as possible. Field each movement. When your mind wants to quit, notice the thought and do one more controlled rep. You're not just building muscle, you're practicing staying present inside challenge. Apply the same mindset to how you eat. You don't need a perfect diet. You need a respectful one. Eat real food, as often as possible protein, colors from plants, enough calories to fuel your training. Drink water. Reduce empty, liquid sugar. Every meal is a small vote for the future, you or against them. When you feed yourself like someone you care about, your body and mind respond in kind. Adopt one rule. Never miss twice. If you skip a workout, don't spiral. Simply make the next one non-negotiable. If you've overeaten at one meal, let the next be a return to your standards. Progress doesn't die because of a mistake. It dies because of the story you tell yourself after the mistake. See, I always ruin everything. The Stoic answer is softer and stronger. I slipped, now I continue. By the end of week 5, you'll notice something subtle. Yes, your body feels different, heavier, in the best way, more solid, more grounded, but more importantly, effort will start to feel less like a threat and more like a kind of peace. You'll step away from a session tired and strangely calm. That's your nervous system learning that hard things can be done without panic. That's the beginning of real strength. If strength trains your relationship with physical resistance, courage trains your relationship with psychological resistance. Almost every life that feels stuck is held in place by avoided conversations, avoided risks, avoided truths. Fear builds invisible fences. The Stoics didn't admire people who felt no fear. They admired those who acted according to reason, even while fear screamed in their ears. This week, you treat courage like a muscle. Once a week, and ideally more often, you will do one deliberate courage rep. Something you've been putting off because it makes you uncomfortable, embarrassed, or vulnerable. Not reckless stunts, but necessary acts. Sending an honest message, asking for feedback you might not like, setting a boundary, sharing something you created, starting a conversation you've been postponing. Think of courage as a ladder. At the bottom are small discomforts. Speaking up in a meeting, saying, "I don't understand," when you feel stupid, telling someone no when you usually say yes to avoid conflict. In the middle are bigger risks. Applying for something you might not get, admitting you were wrong, ending a dead situation. At the top are the life-shaping moves, changing careers, confessing love, leaving a toxic environment, moving toward a dream with no guarantees. You don't need to leap to the top. You just need to climb one rung higher than last week. Choose your courage rep in advance. Write it down. Your brain will immediately generate sophisticated excuses. Now isn't the right time. I need to prepare more. Next week will be better. Recognize this for what it is. Fear masquerading as logic. The Stoics called this fantasia. Our imagination, turning possibilities into monsters. To anchor your courage, use a simple breathing ritual before your rep. Sit for a moment. Inhale slowly through your nose. Pause. Exhale longer than you inhaled. As you breathe, remind yourself, my fear is not prophecy. It's just a feeling. Then act. Send a message. Make it. Recall, speak the truth calmly. You are teaching your nervous system that it can experience fear and still move. After each courage rep, reflect briefly. How did you feel before? How do you feel now? Very often, the mind's prediction and the reality do not match. You imagined catastrophe. You experienced discomfort. That gap is powerful. Every time you prove to yourself that the fear was louder than the actual consequence, the next act of courage becomes slightly easier. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means fear shrinks to a size you can carry in your hand. By the end of this week, you might still feel nervous before hard actions, but you will also feel something new. Respect for yourself, for not letting fear be the quiet author of your life. By now, your body is stronger, your courage is awake, and your days have structure. The next layer of expansion is competence. There is a deep stabilizing confidence that only comes from being good at something that matters to you. Not perfect, not the best, but genuinely, undeniably skilled. Most people stay in permanent beginner mode. They dabble in everything, commit to nothing, and then wonder why nothing in their life feels solid. This week, you choose one skill to focus on, not forever, but for this cycle. It might be something creative, like writing or music, something professional like coding, sales, design, or something personal like communication or cooking well. The content matters less than the process. Commit to 60 to 90 minutes of deliberate practice each day. Deliberate practice means you're not just going through the motions. You're breaking the skill into parts and training the weak spots on purpose. Roughly 80% of your time goes to drills. 20% goes to actual performance. If you're writing, you might spend most of the session rewriting one paragraph in multiple ways, learning how tone and rhythm work. Then you apply those insights to a page of real writing. If you're editing videos, you might practice cutting the same 10-second scene in different styles, then assemble a full sequence. If you're learning to speak better, you might practice specific openings, tones, and pauses, then use them in one real conversation. Keep a simple scoreboard. Write down the date, what you practiced, and one small thing you improved. Held eye contact longer. Learned a new transition. Reduced filler words. You're not just building skill, you're building a narrative of growth. Psychology shows that when we can see our improvement, our motivation becomes more stable and less dependent on mood. Once a week, seek feedback from someone ahead of you. Don't ask, "What do you think?" Ask targeted questions. What was confusing? What felt weak? Where did you lose interest? Then apply one piece of that feedback in your next session. This closes what experts call the feedback loop, the distance between mistake and correction. The shorter that distance, the faster you grow. At first, this will feel slow, boring, even. That's the point. Excellence lives in the boring repetitions no one sees. Over time, something quiet happens. You stop needing constant praise. The work itself becomes satisfying. You enter flow more often. You begin to trust yourself in this area. Not because someone told you you're talented, but because you have evidence. Skill, built this way, becomes a form of meditation. It anchors you. It reminds you that you are capable of shaping yourself through practice. The Stoics would recognize this as erat excellence in action, earned, not given. The final week of expansion is about character. You have more strength, more courage, more skill, but without integrity, all of that can still feel empty. You can be productive and powerful and still feel like you're reliving slightly out of alignment with your own values. The Stoics called the central virtue justice, not just in the legal sense, but in the sense of being fair, honest, and reliable in your dealings with others and with yourself. This week, your focus is simple. Become someone you can count on. Start with 2 non-negotiables each day. First, keep one clear promise to yourself. Second, do one act of service for someone else. The promise to yourself can be small. Finish the task you committed to. Attend a workout you scheduled. Read instead of scrolling. Go to bed on time. The size doesn't matter. The consistency does. Every promise kept is a deposit into your self-respect. Every broken promise is a withdrawal. Most people feel low self-esteem, not because of vague reasons, but because their nervous system has watched them break their own word too many times. This week you begin to reverse that. The act of service can also be simple. Send a sincere message of appreciation. Help someone with no expectation of return. Listen fully to a friend without turning the conversation back to yourself. Do something kind that no one will ever post about. When you repeatedly act for others in small, quiet ways, you experience a different kind of strength. The strength of not being the center of your own universe all the time. Alongside these actions, you practice restraint in communication. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs to become a battle. When someone tries to drag you into drama, practice what we might call tactical silence. Ask yourself, is my peace worth this argument? Often, the answer is no. Walking away is not weakness. It is choosing where your energy lives. Set boundaries that protect your time and nervous system. Learn to say, I can't commit to that, or that doesn't fit my priorities right now, without apology. Every no to what drains you creates space for a deeper yes to what builds you. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors you choose when to open. As you move through this week, life will likely offer you tests, invitations to overcommit, chances to gossip, moments when it would be easier to lie just a little. Use them. Each is an opportunity to either reinforce or betray your values. You won't choose perfectly every time, but you'll start noticing the difference between peace and self-betrayal. By the end of week 8, your story looks different. You're stronger, braver, more skilled, and a bit quieter inside. You react less and respond more. You keep more of your promises. The people around you may not know exactly what changed, but they will feel it. You show up differently, less chaotic, more grounded. Expansion has done its work. And yet, the Stoics would remind you, growth without stability can still crack under pressure. That's why the final chapter of this blueprint is not about doing more. It's about integration and making all of this durable when real life hits. By now, you've built momentum. Your body feels more reliable. Your mind reacts less. Your courage has woken up. But the truth is this: anyone can stay disciplined in perfect conditions. The real test is what happens when life applies, pressure when plans break, when unexpected problems arrive, when your emotions start to climb. Week 9 is where you learn not to collapse under stress and not to harden either. The Stoics didn't aim to become emotionless statues. They aimed to become responsive instead of reactive, adaptable instead of explosive, flexible instead of brittle. In psychology, this is called stress inoculation. Your nervous system to experience discomforts without losing its center. First, you start by learning your own warning signs. Stress doesn't appear suddenly. It whispers. It shows up in your breath tightening, in your shoulders rising toward your ears, in your stomach clenching, in your thoughts speeding beyond reason. Most people only notice stress after they've snapped at someone, overeaten, or spiraled into worry. But if you can catch the first signs, you can change the whole trajectory. So this week, pay attention. When tension rises, pause just for a moment and name it. This is stress. Naming reduces intensity. It stops your mind from merging with the feeling. Then follow your response map. 3 simple, pre-written actions. You'll take the moment you feel yourself slipping. Maybe your map looks like this. 1. Breathe slowly through your nose for 60 seconds. 2. Step outside for a 5-minute walk. No phone. 3. Write down the problem in 1 sentence instead of letting it spin in your head. These steps are not magic. They are circuit breakers. They interrupt emotional momentum before it becomes a storm. Next, you'll deliberately expose yourself to small, controlled discomfort once per day, not to suffer but to teach your mind, I can handle this without panic. Take a 30-second cold shower. Hold a plank for longer than you want. Walk for 10 minutes in silence without any distraction. Sit with a craving for a minute before acting on it. These small practices teach your brain that discomfort is not an emergency, but stress training without recovery is just punishment. You need the other side of the coin. Deliberate stillness. Every day this week, set aside at least 15 minutes for stillness. No scrolling, no music, no inputs, just sitting, breathing, and letting your nervous system settle. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind will beg to be distracted. That's withdrawal from let it pass. Underneath the noise, there is clarity. Stillness is not emptiness. It is maintenance for your inner life. Protect your sleep with the same seriousness you used in week 1. You've come too far to let late night chaos undo your progress. Keep your 9 p.m. cutoff. Your discipline during the day depends on the depth of your rest at night. By the end of week 9, you'll notice something profound. Stress still shows up, but it doesn't own you. It doesn't hijack you. You'll bend instead of breaking. You feel pressure without turning against yourself. You start to understand what Stoicism really means, not suppressing emotion, but mastering your response to it. You are becoming calm, not because life is easy, but because your center is steady. You now have energy, strength, courage, and more resilience. But even with all that, if your days are chaotic, you will still end each week feeling anxious and behind. Disorder creates suffering, even in strong people. Week 10 is about building a relationship with time that feels sane, deliberate, and dignified. Time management is not about squeezing tasks into every corner of your day. It's about aligning your actions with what actually matters and removing what doesn't. It is philosophy, not productivity. It is sane. My life will not be dictated by noise. Start by creating a default week. Imagine the next 7 days were a blank canvas. Before adding obligations, fill it with the routines that anchor you. Your deep work blocks, your training days, your walks, your reflection time, your morning routine, and your sleep cutoff. These are your non-negotiable pillars that hold your life upright. Everything else must fit around them. Most people do the opposite. They fill their calendar with obligations, then squeeze their mental health into the leftover scraps. That's why no routine ever sticks. Next, identify your energy patterns. Notice when you feel mentally sharp, when you fidgety, and when you recover. Use your peak hours for your most meaningful work, the tasks that move your life and identity forward. Use low energy hours for routine tasks or collaboration. Don't fight your biology. Work with it. Productivity is not about force. It is about alignment. Simplify your inputs. Turn off non-essential notifications. Check messages at set times instead of reacting like a firefighter to every ping. Protect your attention like it's currency, because it is. Every unnecessary interruption fractures your ability to think deeply. That fracture, repeated daily, steals years of potential. This week, follow one rule. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. If something matters, schedule it. If something drains, you delete it. Memory is unreliable. Mood is inconsistent. The calendar is an external mind that holds your priorities when your internal one wavers. By midweek, you'll notice something surprising. Your anxiety decreases simply because your time has shape. You wake knowing what to focus on. You rest knowing the day had purpose. Your brain stops feeling like it's juggling invisible knives. To the Stoics, this was a form of wisdom, living each day as if it were a small life of its own, complete and intentional. When your days have structure, your life feels meaningful. You're no longer rushing blindly. You're moving towards something with your eyes open. Habits alone don't create fulfillment. You can be disciplined, efficient, and productive and still feel empty. Week 11 is where discipline becomes meaning, where your actions stop being mechanical and start becoming moral. This week is about values not as slogans, but as behaviors you embody. Start by choosing no more than 5 core values, not the ones you think you should have, not the ones that sound impressive, the ones that feel true when no one is watching. Maybe courage, honesty, patience, creativity, service, presence, discipline. Write each one down. Then, beneath each, write what that value looks like in everyday action. For example, courage. I speak honestly even when uncomfortable. Temperance. I stop working when it's time to rest. Justice. I treat others fairly, not conveniently. Wisdom. I choose response over reaction. Now, write the opposite what violates those values. These become your red flags. When a situation comes up, ask, does this align with my values or betray them? One question. It will save you from months of regret. Next, practice 3 decision-making tools the Stoics used intuitively. The pre-mortem. Imagine the decision failing. Why? What's preventable? The regret test in 1 year. Will you regret not doing this? Automatic yes. No rules. For example, if it disrupts my morning deep work block, I decline. Then, each night, score your virtues from 1 to 5. Temperance, justice, wisdom, and right. 1 sentence of evidence for each. This is not self-criticism. It is calibration. It keeps your actions aligned with your highest self, not your moods. Over time, something transforms inside you. You stop needing approval because your reward is internal coherence. You stop feeling lost because your values become your compass. You stop chasing validation because you respect yourself too much to abandon your principles. Discipline without values is hollow. Values without discipline are empty. When they meet, your life gains moral texture. You gain direction that motivation can never replace. This final week is not an ending. It's a mirror. It shows you what you've built, and it invites you to claim it. Everything before now has been practice. This is where practice becomes identity. Begin with a review honest, without drama. Take a page and divide it into 4 boxes. Wins, misses, lessons, adjustments. List your real progress, sleep consistency, courage, reps, strength, gains, focus time. Emotional control, boundaries set, values lived. List your failures honestly, but without shame. Then write the lessons those failures revealed. Finally, adjust your habits, not as punishment, but as refinement. Next, gather your proof. Write down every piece of evidence that you have changed: your morning routine, your stable sleep, your resilience under stress, your courage acts, your skilled improvement, your structure, your alignment. This list becomes your armor against self-doubt. When your mind whispers, "You're still the same," you will have proof that you are not. Now create your identity statement. Begin with, I am the kind of person who. Finish it with behaviors you've earned. I am the kind of person who keeps my word. I am the kind of person who trains even when tired. I am the kind of person who chooses calm over chaos. I am the kind of person who lives by values, not moods. These are not affirmations. They are descriptions of lived evidence. Identity grows from action, not imagination. Finally, design the next cycle year, next 12 weeks. Not as punishment, but as evil. Choose a theme: courage, truth, discipline, service, mastery. Set your non-negotiable floors: 7 hours of sleep, 1 act of movement, 1 promise kept. Then choose 3 stretch goals, not outcomes, but directions. Close this cycle with a quiet ritual: a sunrise walk with no phone, cleaning your space until it feels new, writing a letter to your old self, thanking them for taking the first step when they didn't feel ready. Rituals anchor meaning into memory. Because the truth is this: the last 12 weeks were never about becoming perfect. They were about becoming reliable, becoming awake, becoming honest, becoming whole. Most people spend their entire lives wishing for change. You have spent 12 weeks creating it. You have learned that discipline is not punishment. is self-respect in motion. You have learned that courage is not loud, it is quiet truth. You have learned that peace is not the absence of struggle, it's confidence in your ability to meet it. And now, you carry something that cannot be taken from you. Self-respect earned through consistent action. This is the quiet reward that changes everything. You are no longer someone who hopes for a different life. You are someone who builds 1 weeks at a time. So now, take a slow breath and let this truth settle in you. You don't need to rush, you don't need to prove anything, and you don't need a perfect plan. You simply need to continue one honest day at a time. What you built over these weeks is real. It lives in your habits, in your choices, in your calm, in your strength. Carry it forward gently. Trust the version of you that's emerging. And remember, transformation isn't loud, it's steady, it's quiet. It's yours.